So Canes fans overall are not very happy with the season prediction video that I posted yesterday. There were a lot of disagreements, which I want you to know is okay. Honestly, it would be more weird and very odd if everyone agreed with me, because that's literally impossible. We all have our own idea of how we think that things are going to go down. So we're never going to agree on everything. It's literally impossible. But I have the Canes going 7-5 or 8-4 in 2023. And a lot of the comments were Canes fans saying that I'm being too negative going into the season. And the reality is that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm actually very positive and optimistic going into this season. And what I want to do is maybe dive a little bit deeper into my season prediction for this year and explain everything, because apparently I didn't do that well enough in the previous video. So sit tight. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Canes fans? I appreciate the real ones for hanging out and watching today's video, because I promised you guys there's going to be a lot more content on the channel this season, and that starts literally right now. And a lot of that content is going to be more raw and unedited. You know, at times I want to just turn on the camera and talk open and honestly about things, not with a bunch of cuts and different graphics and overlays and things like that. We just want to talk. And I really feel like I need to make this video today because, again, there was a lot of confusion with the season prediction with the 7-5 or 8-4. And what I mean by confusion is Canes fans thinking that I see that as a bad thing, or that I'm being super negative going into this season. And as I said, it couldn't be further from the case. I mean, 7-5 or 8-4, I do not label as successful. For me, the end goal is a national championship, and anything less than that, you didn't meet your goal. That's what everybody is trying to achieve. So you can't really look at 7-5 and say, "Wow, we succeeded." Right? We set out and accomplished our goal because we didn't. You know, we want to win the ACC. We want to be in the playoffs. We want to be playing for a national championship. However, I do believe that 7-5 or 8-4 is a positive step forward. It is a small step in the right direction. And I'm talking purely wins and losses here, guys. Like, of course, I would love to see somebody, surpass 1,000 yards rushing. I would love to have a receiver who hits 1,000 yards or more receiving yards. But the thing is, 7-5 or 8-4 is more wins than we got last year. We were a 5-7 team. So even though it's not a leap, I do think it's a positive step forward in the winning department. There's going to be a lot of other things that we need to see out of this team. And also you have to remember that how we win and lose these games matter. Like if we go 7-5, but the loss to Clemson is by 7 points. Well, that's definitely a step forward. We would rather win it, but it's a step, right? I also saw a lot of comments. Basically, we're addressing everything is what we're doing in this video. And like I said, it's okay to disagree with me. I just find it very interesting when people will discredit my prediction and then turn around and state theirs as fact. When, again, we're all just throwing crap at the wall hoping that it sticks at the end of the day. That's how it is, And I went back, interestingly enough, and looked at my 2022 season prediction, and I saw a lot of the same people guaranteeing me, yes, using that exact word, guaranteeing me 11 wins in 2022. Some of them said 12 wins. They said you can take it to the bank, Coop. We're not losing any games, or we're losing at maximum 1 or 2 games. As you can see, we went 5-7. Now, I know that things are different this year, new OC, new DC, but you do have to understand that doesn't instantly equal results all the time. As I said, I think 7-5 or 8-4 is a positive step forward. Am I super happy with that? Absolutely not, because it's not a national championship. It's not an ACC championship. I can't say this enough. People keep taking things that I'm saying out of context and putting words in my mouth. But it's still improvement. Again, when it comes to wins and losses. But it's just funny because that's not me being negative. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm actually very optimistic. I just think it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 more years to really be where we want to be. Like we have, that 2023 class, I'm really hyped on those guys. And some of them are going to get some play time this year. But how many of them are truly going to start all 12 games in the regular season this year? They still have to kind of adjust to the college level, the speed of the game. It jumps up from high school. And not all of those guys are going to come in and be impact players. Yes, I'm hype on them, but it's just facts. It's the reality. So I'm looking more at a timeline of 2 more years down the road from now, because in a way, you kind of scratch Mario's first year. We're almost hitting the reset button again. And even though us Canes fans see it as a positive thing because Josh Gaddis's offense was so bad, and it was, and Kevin Steele, his defense gave up so many yards, especially through the air. I mean, Middle Tennessee, let's be real here. But the thing is, there can still be some kinks. There can still be some speed bumps, a learning curve. I don't expect everything to go perfectly smooth. I don't live in this pretend make-believe rainbows and unicorns universe. That's just not how I operate. I can come up here on this platform and blow a bunch of smoke and tell you guys how everything's going to be perfect. And then at the end of the season, if we lose 4 or 5 games, I look like a big fat idiot, So I always tell people, that's why I put the disclaimers, but for some reason it goes in one ear and out the other. I'm setting my Canes pride to the side when I do predictions. If you want me to do a video, speaking from the heart, letting my Canes pride and fandom in, I'm going to come up here and tell you that we're winning a national championship this year. We're pulling a complete 180. Dawson's offense is going to be out of this world. Guidry's defense is going to have these guys picking off 2 or 3 passes per game. We're going all the way. We're blowing out everybody on our schedule. Of course, I would love to make a video talking like that, but it's just not how I actually really see this thing going down. People were saying, did Coop hit his head? Has Coop not been listening to the coach and player interviews? Of course I have. I keep up with all of that. But I think that some also don't understand Coachspeak or coach talk. And like I said, I'm not coming on this platform trying to pretend like I know more than anyone else. I don't want you to get it twisted with that either. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just a crazy Canes fan who has a voice on this platform, and lots of people tune in and listen to it, and we break it down and talk about it in the comment section. But I'm not better than anyone else that's watching this video. But I think that people do forget that. Do you really think that Mario Cristobal is going to step up to the podium and say, well, I think we're maybe a 6 or 7 win team this year? No, he's going to do the generic, and this is what they're supposed to do. This is what they have to do. He's going to do the generic. I think we got a pretty good football team this year, but obviously we still have a lot to work on in this position group or that position group. Dawson, Guidry, they're going to continue to say, hey, things are improving, but we're not quite where we need to be yet. Does that ring a bell? Does that sound familiar? And I'm not knocking on any of the coaches here at Miami. It's all coaches. They're not going to come up and just bash a specific player and talk about how he's not performing very well or up to par. It's going to be constructive criticism. And then they're going to leave it kind of open because you can't make promises that you can't keep, right? And I think that some people forget that. So many people said Coop hasn't been listening to Mario, and Coop hasn't seen that, the interview that Dawson did with Josh on his YouTube channel. I see all these things. But I'm taking the wait and see, you got to prove it to me approach, and I think it's fair to do that. And also firing at the people who say I'm basing my prediction too much off of last season. Well, what are you basing your prediction off of? What you're hoping will be different? We're actually in the same boat. We find ourselves in the exact same position. I'm doing a mixture of the two. You can kind of base some of your prediction off of last season because some of the players are the same. Yeah, they're going to be in a different scheme, but they might carry over some of the same tendencies, the same similar play style, the way they run the ball and different things. And, I realize you can change up some things like the throwing mechanics with the quarterbacks. I think Ponce just absolutely destroyed TBD when it comes to footwork and throwing mechanics. And hopefully Dawson actually does improve on that and he can change it up. But I don't understand people thinking that I'm being negative. What it is they're mistaking negativity with just what I think is reality and honesty. And I think that some people struggle, and trust me, I do the exact same thing, so I understand. But some people struggle to separate what they want to happen from reality. And again, another disclaimer, nobody really knows what's going to happen. So maybe what they want to happen does become reality. It's very possible. But there are a lot of people who just don't understand how to separate the two. They will come out and say, this is turning into basically a 15-minute rant video, but they're going to come out and say, Coop, there's no way that Miami only wins 7 games this year because if that happened, that means Mario is on the hot seat. Well, first of all, yes, Canes fans would be pissed and upset with Mario, but year 2, with a new OC and new DC winning more games than he won last year, Mario's not on the hot seat. First off, let's get that out of the way. Second off, just because it means something bad would happen doesn't mean that's not still what happens. Again, I go back to 2022. People said, Coop, you have us losing every big game. If we lose every big game, that means we didn't see any improvement. So it's impossible that happens because we will improve. What happened? What happened? Right? We lost the big games. Just because you say you don't want that to happen or it can't happen doesn't mean it won't. But again, here I am. It's making me sound all negative, but I'm not being negative. I'm not. I think 7-5 or 8-4 is a positive step forward. And then I think next year we possibly, getting way ahead of myself here, bump that up to 8-4 or 9-3 or maybe even 10-2. We'll look at the schedule, we'll see how things play out. A lot of these young guys that are hungry that are in here will have another year under their belt. And then I think things really start climbing up. But I'm very optimistic going into this season. Cautiously optimistic. And we've already talked about it in my breakdown, but the Texas A&M game, as many others have already said, it could be a huge factor this season. If it springboards us into success, boost our morale and our confidence, or if it kind of knocks us down a couple of pegs and we say maybe we're not quite where we were hoping to be or where we thought we would be just yet. But that's really all I wanted to do in this video. I just wanted to address the fact that I'm not being negative. Even though you might take it as that, it's me just being honest and real and telling you how I feel about it. But I also want you to know that I'm not the fan police. And it is okay if you think we're going 12-0, 11-1, 10-2. I love having these adult, keyword adult, conversations. So when I say, I think we still lose to A&M this year, and you say, Coop, there's no way we're losing to A&M, I'm going to fire back and say, tell me some reasons why you think we win. And then we go back and forth and talk football. It's good, it's healthy, it's fun. And I don't know why in today's times people just struggle to have a one-on-one adult conversation. It's never hate. It's out of love for the game and just discussing it and talking about it, because at the end of the day, none of us really have a huge impact on the outcome of any game. No diss track I do is going to actually curse a game. We're not on the field coaching. we're not any of the players out there having to execute and make those decisions. The biggest impact we can have is crowd noise and support through, Canes Connection Collective and things like that. But as far as actual game day impact other than fan noise, guys, that's really about it. Again, whether you like it or not, that's just the reality of things. But again, I'm not being negative, pretty optimistic, very excited to watch the Canes take the field this season. And I would love to be wrong with my 7-5 or 8-4 and it be 9-3 or 10-2 or beyond. Would love to be wrong. And that's something I think that people don't understand, that it does feel good to be wrong if I predict a loss and we win. People think that they can throw it in my face and use it as some kind of fuel for something, and I'm happy to be wrong. I want to go undefeated. What I'm hoping for. And I want to end with saying that even though I'm predicting 7-5 or 8-4, it's week to week, man. Just like it is for you guys. We'll see the team take the field. We'll have a better idea of how things look, and then we go from there. It's a full season prediction. It's pretty much impossible to do if we're all being honest. But please continue to critique mine. I just ask that we have adult conversations, that we keep it about football. And if you want to state yours as fact, then let's see some people put their money where their mouth is. I'm not the enemy here, right? I'm a Canes fan. But if you can guarantee me 10-2, 11-1, 12-0, put your money where your mouth is. Let's make a little wager or something, And I hope that you win it. I'm serious. I do. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I'm going to enjoy doing some of these more raw videos without edits and just being blunt here. But I don't want to scare people away. I don't want you to think that you can't disagree with me, because that's not the point of the video. I love when people disagree. I just want to have an adult conversation about it, But I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. 2 weeks away. Miami versus Miami. Going to be exciting. They're going to be... We'll save the rest for another video. We'll save the rest for another day. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family. But at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.